Good.
All right. We are live. We're actually a couple minutes early here with Liborio Derario. Am I saying it right?
Liborio Derario.
Liborio Derario.
Can you hear me all right? I don't know.
Yeah, I could hear you just fine, man.
Good. I get this thing
And
straight.
Would you rather take a girl?
I don't know what the fuck this is here. Looks like my
She's one of your
TikTok.
mad followers. That's who it is. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, no, people are trying to jump on this already. I'm trying to make sure I lock them out. Sorry, forgive me. It's never enough.
I
You
sent you
follow.
my stuff to look at, so you see. I did the radio show, man. You got to have the button, you know?
What's the button when I just kick people off?
Yeah, it's exactly right, man. You just hit it and they're gone. With the time delay, you don't have time delay.
I don't have any time delay. Oh, I didn't do that as a live. Okay. That's why. All right. Fuck it. Let's just roll with it. We're going to give it one more minute. Got a bunch of people here already on Instagram saying hi.
Cool.
My wife took half of my technology to do this to Brazil. She got my other iPad.
I love it. I think it's great. Phenomenal. She took your little Pishangul with you too. That's what's great.
Yeah, no. Thank
I
God
saw
she
that
took
shot. I saw him looking out the window, man. That was great. That's a
Yeah,
good.
he's a pretty happy, pretty adorable kid, man. I lucked out with that one.
Are you surprised, Chuck? You know,
No.
my son is nothing like me. He's 20 years old now, so thank God. You know, well, he's got the goodness. I guess whatever little goodness is in me, he's got it.
Well, that's good. All right, so let's do this, Liborio. Let's play Get to Know You. Tell me a little bit about you, man. Take me back. Give me the Liborio story, and
All
I
right,
didn't
so I can give you the
I feel
good,
like
the
I had
bad.
to be in bad labor with that name, like Liborio.
So listen, so that name goes way back in Italian history. So my great grandfather was Liborio. He came over here. There is a tombstone in the Bronx with Liborio Derario on it. If you look it up, it'll come up. I think he died in 1912. Then my grandfather was named Severio. So and then it switches with the Italians. Every other generation, you name after your grandfather. So my dad was Liborio. And he skipped the immigrant tradition. He didn't want us speaking Italian. He didn't want us. So, but he named me Liborio, and I should have been Severio after my grandpa Sam. So I'm not one of those full traditional Italian guys. So needless to say, I started at the Bronx on Alec Avenue, walking distance to the Bronx Zoo. So my mom used to. There we go. Look at that. Now my mom used to take us. So I'm the oldest of three.
Mhm.
And so I paved the way for everybody. My dad was a New York City cop. My mom was a Hunter graduate, Hunter College. She went to school for uh, medicine, doctor, whatever. But when she got pregnant and all this other stuff, she fell away from that for the time being. So yeah, so we were raised in the Bronx for 4.5 years. My dad being a cop back then, you couldn't transport your gun through New Jersey. There was some rules. The Cowboys in Jersey didn't like the Cowboys in New York. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I get it. I was I got the paperwork to carry a concealed firearm in Manhattan when I worked there from 1997 to 2004. I
wow.
couldn't get a gun in New Jersey because I had a public urination ticket.
I love it. So those are the things that make me laugh. Right, the idiosyncrasies of the system. That right, and God bless you, you had the carry back then. That was a little much harder to get. I had my concealed carry too. But
Yeah,
getting
yeah. I never
five
got
boroughs.
it.
That's
I never
great.
got it. They gave me permission to have one in Manhattan because
That's what
yeah, it's apparently not an easy thing to get. But
no, not at
I
all.
had
Did you know someone, Chuck?
we worked with a factor in the garment center, and I carried a lot of money around like
There you
routine.
go.
In my first 2 weeks, I was running around with like 150 grand in cash legitimately in a bag.
Yeah, I got
And
it.
I wasn't considering doing it until two other guys I knew that had my job
Thing.
each got lead poisoning.
Yeah, I got it. I got it. Oh, speaking of the garment district, one of the guys I work with, his name is Claudio Iodice. Before he got into commercial real estate and regular real estate, he was in the garment district selling dresses. and the trucking industry. So you know, because I guess you were part of some of that.
Yeah, I know the tech industry a little too well.
Yeah, it was an interesting bunch of people there. But yeah, so I guess needless to say, we moved out to Rockland County when my dad was allowed. I guess the bridge was built, the Tappan Zee Bridge. You could go down to Sprain Brook and right into the city or whatever the hell the story was back then, and come in from the backside. So he moved us out to Rockland in '65, and so I never really started in the PS system. We started school up, in Rockland, and did my time there. My dad met every principal from first, not kindergarten, but from first grade on. And, it was just, I was a guy that had a lot of free time on his hands because I was way ahead as far as getting things done. And I was also I don't know where I got it from. There's some D'Amico in me, but I always found a way around the system. So I got my work done, and I had a lot of time on my hands in class, and I got in a lot of trouble. So
yeah, I get it. So if it didn't get done in school, it didn't get done.
That's right. That's it. Man.
Other classes were for doing your homework for that night, so you had the nights off. And they said you never make honor roll until you became friends with the kids that actually changed everybody's grades in the semester.
So in first grade, it was an A, B, C, D, E system, F system, or whatever. A, B, C, D, and F, or something. And I had an F on my report card, and I changed it to an E by putting that line underneath. But not being the smart guy that I am, I used a blue pen when all the other shit was in black. And so I was good. I was good for a few days until some letter came and told my parents that I was failing and that they had to come in and see the teacher. And so my dad asked me a few times about it. And I, of course, never lie till you die. I mean, with the New York City cop, you're getting a shellacking. He found out about it, and he found out about it. So needless to say, I got the shellacking, and the principals were told you if the guy steps out of line, give him a shellacking. So the old days, you were allowed to do that, and it didn't matter because that didn't really deter me from anything. It scared me for the moment, and after the moment was over, I still went back to what I was doing. So, but if it wasn't for that, I'd probably be dead. So thank God for that kind of discipline along the way for me.
How old are you?
I'm 62. I just turned 62 in August. So I've seen a bunch of stuff, but I made my way through high school and all of that stuff. My first entrepreneurial experience in high school was in eighth grade. We started. So my holding company is called Frogman's Holding Company, and I do my real estate out of that. And we had a group of guys, 6 of us, that started. Well, we formed a second dive. It was called Frogman's Association. Was my friend that I went to kindergarten with, who I helped. He's building his house here in Brant Beach. I know him for a long time. His brother died in a motorcycle accident when we were in 6th grade, Kevin Toole. And they had this organization. And so we restarted the organization. We called it Frogman's Association underneath Second Dive. And we bought candy wholesale, and we used to go around to school events and stuff. And, we get a bar for 15 cents. We were selling for $0.25. And we did that, for 2 seasons, and I don't know, ran up about $1,000. And we had some, and now again, remember, 7th, 8th grade, you're just getting started. We had some keg parties with that, and we got to know some of the girls, and we were doing some crazy stuff at a young age with the money that we earned from the school stuff. So that was one of my first experiences. Then back in the day, they had a mimeograph machine, and so it was a purple ink. You used to make a template. And we made tickets up, and we sold advance tickets for $1 a piece for car wash a year in advance for the school, using the school's name and everything like that in front of Caldors and ShopRite. And people would give you $1, Suffern High School, and they'd put it in their pocket. The day of the car wash, we had 10 people show up, and we raised close to $3,000 doing that.
I figured maybe you maybe you did something like that and just graduated and never held the car wash.
Yeah. Well, we were lucky enough to get away with all of that. And then the senior year of high school, the Frogman's Association, they stopped concerts at our school because of some madness that went on 3 or 4 years before us. And we convinced our student advisor, Mr. Boyle, who just passed away, to convince the principals to let us have this concert. So we had this concert called Guitar Wars at Focal Point. And they didn't have a stage set up, so we set up platforms using the cafeteria tables and stacked them in the gymnasium. We had 2 sets of tickets. We had a yellow set and a green set because Frogman's was yellow and green. We had hand stamps, and we went ahead and we had a cash box, and we had green tickets were advance sales, which nobody saw. The yellow tickets were the sales at the door, and then we had guys. This out of the six of us, two guys worked the box, and four guys worked the crowd, and these guys were out in the parking lot stamping girls' hands, for free. Right in there. The idiots brought the idiots when we switched, because I was the first guy in the box with my friend Larry. They switched over and they brought the other box with them. I don't know why they did that. And it was getting out of hand. People were smoking reefer. People were drinking Jack Daniels in the stands with the girls, all indoors. So needless to say, two guys got caught. The guy, I'm running the spotlight now up on top, and the principal's up there. He's trying to get my attention. I had the spotlight on the ceiling. He's trying to shut the concert down. I wouldn't spotlight him. The other principal ran up in the hole there and grabbed me. He grabbed me by the neck. He puts the spotlight on the other principal, and they closed us down. And they took all our money. They confiscated both cash boxes. Well, I didn't go to my prom because the senior class raised absolutely no money for that, and they took our $6,800 there, and they used that to support the prom for the class of '78. So again, I was down here on LBI while the prom was going on. We had 4 Utica Club balls, and I was setting up the speakers for the Outlaws, Greengrass, and High Tides. I had a Marantz. I was pushing 250 watts a side. I had microacoustic speakers that were taller than an 8-foot room that we had stacked up there. And by the time the prom was over, people started rolling in around 3 a.m. And by 8:30 a.m., the cops were there twice. The owner of the house was my friend. He wasn't there till 10. So they were chasing me around the house. It was a 2-family. So I would go upstairs when they were downstairs. They'd come up, I'd go down. And we kept the thing going with a loop for, I don't know, about an hour until he got there. And then ultimately it shut down. We had to throw about 200 people out, outside, inside. And that was the start of my career. That's how I got started.
Yeah, man. I got a pretty similar origin story. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, well,
to say the least. But okay, you like to party.
Yes, I do.
The entrepreneurial spirit was there early on, probably because you realized making money was going to get you laid, like every other young man.
No doubt.
So where do you go from there?
Well, okay, so I'm just going to throw in there too. I did have a legitimate job. As soon as I turned 13, or whenever you could get your green card, I got a paper route. And I started that up in November because I knew the Christmas tips were coming. So I only worked a month, and I jackpotted, I don't know, $600, $700 in tips for Christmas there. And I did that after school. So, and then I also ran a retail shop for a guy who's called Toy Box. I opened and closed the store for him. He was a survivor of the Holocaust, Sam Braden.
Wow.
And so he was Orthodox. He wasn't Orthodox. I mean, he was Jewish, but he followed along the Orthodox tradition. So I would close the store on Friday night, stuff the cash from the register behind the electrical box. He'd come wandering in sometimes during Saturday, peel it out of there. And then Saturday night, I'd do the same thing. I'd go out and raise hell until 2:33 in the morning. And then I had to go into the store. The store opened at 6:30. I was in there, once my friends were done and everything, putting the papers together on Sunday morning and pulling out the Barons for this guy and the Wall Street, all the specialty papers these guys needed Sunday. So I did that on top of all this other shit. So as far as multitasking with the real estate and all the stuff that I do now, the architecture and the construction, I mean, I was doing the same sort of thing back then, just freewheeling it with a lot more energy. I mean, I became a lifestyle entrepreneur, as you have, Chuck. I think, you reach a certain amount of money and you reach a certain amount of bullshit, and you just say, what you can't take it with you. So what do you do? So you got to cut back. You don't have to cut back. It's up to you. But I like to have fun too. So you can't have all this shit going all at once and then be miserable. What's the sense of doing it?
I can think of I can definitely think of 1, 2, 3 occasions where the greatest thing in my life was going broke.
Right, there you go. That's it.
It's like
it's an eye opener.
Yeah, when he started, I had a stock disaster. I lost everything. It was like 80 grand because I forgot to put in a stop loss. I was like, all right, so I could work for 4 years again and make it back.
Yep.
Or I could just cowboy up and run this guy's fucking business anyway. New Jersey's largest drug-free competitive bodybuilder. Clearly, I'm capable of some fucking shit. And if I got the same 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, and I can't fucking do this, I don't deserve to live. Fuck it, I quit.
Yeah.
You know, and
I saw some early pictures you put up, Chuck. Not that you're not in good shape now, but man, you had it going on for sure. You definitely did it. That competition.
It's fortunate I found something that just kind of worked with me, because Lord knows I fucking needed it.
Yeah.
Something positive.
Yeah. Well, that kind of discipline. And listen, all of those things are lessons, and you can go one way or another. You can go into the hole because of it, and I mean the literal hole in the ground, because I put friends in the ground because of depression and
you and me both, man.
Yeah.
You and me both. I put one in the ground this weekend.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry to hear that, but yeah, I hear you. So,
was,
listen, and my trajectory changed a few times when I was in my 20s. My baby brother was killed on Memorial Day in a car accident. Some drunk driver took him out down here.
You telling me that.
Yeah, and my dad passed 2 years after that. He was 54. So, I'm 20. What was I? 24, 25, 26 then. And so your life is going this way. And when something like that happens, you get bumped, or you get bumped so you can see it. That's my brother. And then you get bumped again because of something else that you really never thought about in your life. You're invincible. When you're young, you're invincible. You don't think, and you see people passing, your grandparents and things. That's a progression of age. But when somebody young goes and he's a relation, and I never realized what my parents were going through with that until I had my own kids. Because you don't know what it's like to have kids until you have kids, and you don't believe it, but your heart breaks when you start thinking about that shit. So those things knocked me into some other ways of thinking. I went out and I was doing some real estate then. My brother and I were almost getting together on something. Didn't happen before he passed, so I went out and bought myself a Lotus Esprit, and I started getting reckless with.
How'd you like that car, seriously? Because
I loved it. I was your size, Chuck. So I was agile. Not that you wouldn't be agile. You're a big guy. That's a fucking go-kart. I mean, it's an Indy car basically. You're on the ground. You're sitting there flat on the ground like a Corvette, an old Corvette. But it was a turbo 4-cylinder, and that thing stuck. It was like a slot car, man. I mean, the faster you went, the easier it was to corner and turn. And it was just so low to the ground. The engine was behind you. I mean, I couldn't afford the Ferraris then, so I went. I took some of my money and said, "Fuck it," and I bought that thing, bright red, like an idiot. And within 8 months, I lost my license doing 147 on Route 17, going from Suffern to Mahwah at 3:00 in the afternoon, going to cash a check from a closing with a friend of mine in the seat. And I made I made two mistakes. I was speeding, and then I passed some old lady on the right-hand side. So the cop pulls me over and he says, "You have two choices. I can impound the car. I'm going to write you up for reckless driving." And I don't know. I think I was 100 over, 80 over the speed, 85. He's like, you can follow me in. He's like, you plead to the speed 100%, and I'll drop the reckless driving. So, and I didn't need an attorney to understand what I had to do there. So, but I lost my license for 6 months, and I had the Lotus, and I drove to work every day, and that cop was sitting there in the morning watching me pull out, and he didn't, I'm friends with the guy. I went to school with the guy, but he's like, "Lee, 3 times you blew down the road here like this." He's like, "That's it, you're done." But they let me drive, even though I didn't have a license. I didn't have a restricted license. I just told the guy, and I kept it 50. I just kept the speed limit, and I only drove to work and back. I wasn't out going crazy for 6 months, and I got my license back. So, yeah, but that's what real estate can do for you. I mean, back then I was 20-something years old, and I had a pocket full of jingle. I'm like, shit, you could die tomorrow. Let me go burn some up,
Yeah, I could think of. I could definitely think of a couple of occasions where it's like, all right, I'm 26. I'm in Hawaii living with a friend for the next month, and there's $300,000 in my checking account.
There you go, man. So see, we have walked the same stones. It's amazing, but you've gone a lot further than I have with a lot of the stuff that you did as far as the speaking and all of that. You really got tied into like syndicates of people and things.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I mean, it's not even like speaking. It's kind of like me versus them, and it's almost like, God damn it, I'm going to, not only am I going to make a lot of money doing this, but I'm gonna help these people out and sell them something that I would have wanted, because fuck, there's nothing else like it. And everybody will tell you all this shit on YouTube, but it doesn't necessarily work when you live where you live because everything's state specific. So I just started
There's no
systemizing
doubt.
New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and I mean, fuck, some of my first deals, I could have been locked up for believing some of this like bullshit from Florida and actually executing it and pulling the
Yeah.
trigger. Like,
Yeah.
I'm the guy that waits outside the class at 5:30 a.m. until the doors open.
I hear you.
The next day I'll break in anyway. It's just
Well, I told that's how I met Dean Graziosi. Is I worked on some of his courses. I've done real estate before, but this guy, and you told me his stories, and I got it all. I'm with you. I looked some of that shit up. So, but yeah, he is a front man for a bunch of things and whatever. But
yeah, Graciosi does not own his company.
right,
You know?
you told me that. Yeah, yeah. So, but it's smart maybe not to own your company as long as the checks are coming in. Who cares where it's coming from?
I got plenty of stuff that I don't own too, but he actually applied to an audition, just like Carlton Sheets. They wanted an actor.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. So why not? Why shouldn't it be Hollywood? Look, we're up here right now. Isn't this Hollywood? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I had a radio show.
I got a screenplay in the works.
Listen, I had a radio show for a bunch of years, and I did what you did. I filmed the in studio. We stripped the audio off, called the ABCs of Home Improvement. We were your radio encyclopedia for home improvement knowledge. We gave away gifts. We did again, showmanship, the dog and pony show. I mean, I'm more into all of that. Like, getting the deal, closing the deal. Fuck it. To me, it's the negotiation. After that, I don't give a shit. Somebody else take care of the rest of it. I like just knowing I got the number, and and even that's starting to get to a point where now I'm going to outsource probably the hot leads and all the cold calling and the rapport and stuff. You do your stuff a lot differently than I do. I understand some of the stuff that you do. I know, conceptually what goes on. I've never gone for that higher level. I've always been the low fruit guy that just picks off those wholesale deals that are laying on the floor, and just, cracking them over, giving them to somebody else and let them really capitalize on it. So,
Yeah, I unfortunately like a challenge.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See, so you haven't reached my point where I'm just ready. I'm laying back. You're still going, guns firing, and I see it. Your students are definitely. I see the fire that you got around that table. So God bless, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's not because it's not out of necessity, and like honestly, I fucking ride off into the sunset if I wanted to, but like,
right.
I got a lot of good people around me that can't yet.
There you go. Yeah.
And that keeps me going every day. Like, legit love it.
All of it. Giving it back, baby. Give it back.
Lately, my biggest fucking challenge here, and starting to enjoy that too, is just teaching everybody how to harmonize. And you are not the only fucking one on earth.
Well, listen, you got to start a little blog. Now, your vlog is good for parental guidance, but there is craziness there that comes out. I enjoy those on a daily basis or every time I see one come out. I mean,
I got to remember to be quicker on the craziness. It happens pretty quick.
You got a good boy there. Yeah, he's unbelievable. You don't see once in a while you get the screaming at your video, and I know that means it's getting to you. So that's why you put it out there. But he seems like a real quiet kid,
He was very good when his mom went away before, and now he seems to. I hope he doesn't regress in his time in Brazil.
Listen, Brazil, a guy in Brazil, that's trouble.
Yeah, been there, done that 3 times.
Yeah, I hear you. So anyway, so we have a kindred connection through the names of our groups. You have a creative real estate group, and I have the Creative Real Estate Institute, and that's what really got me connected to you. Is when I saw that come across, I'm like, who is this guy? And then you were a local guy, so I mean, like we're together the same. We're within a 10-minute radius of each other, really. And that's why I wanted to meet you, and I met you through the stuff the energy you put out first before I came over, and then meeting you over at the cigar place. That was great, man. That was everybody in there has good vibes. The guy from Patterson, I was talking to him, the lieutenant or whatever he is. He's got some, Vlad and those guys. So you got some good people that you're giving energy to that are succeeding. So when I saw that, that's what I was doing. The last group I taught, you met the youngins that I had in there. One of them was my son, and the 3 of them were friends of his that he went through high school and middle school and all that with. And those guys put together a deal this summer, and they did everything from the ground up, bandit signs, all the shit. And we had a lot of activity, but we got one deal under contract, and that deal was for 410. And right now we have a flip sale for 525 on a contract assignment, with something happening on the side, and that's about it I can say for that. But those guys are going to make some real money, and that I didn't make that kind of money when I did my first deal, and I didn't really spoon feed them anything. I mean,
What'd you make on your first deal?
What's that?
What'd you make on your first deal?
6,500.
Okay, that ain't too bad.
No, that was a land flip. So back in the day, they had microfiche, and so we and I was an architect, and I know the builders.
I'm old enough to remember microfiche.
I had the blue book. You remember the blue book, reverse directory? So we used to take microfiche, fish out all the out-of-state vacant landholders, which now can all be done through automation, and then we took that blue book and we did the reverse directory through the address to get phone numbers, and we called people. And I got that deal because the guy, we got a relative, we got his phone number. He was down somewhere in the Carolinas, didn't even know he had the property. So this was from a lady that was a real estate agent that I worked for. Now, again, I worked my job during the day, and then I went to her at night. I worked real estate from 8 until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, 5 nights a week, to learn all this stuff. We took a letter, we crumpled it, we wrote on the letter, "Please find binder check for $10,000 for your land at Spook Rock Road, Suffern, New York, 10901." We crumpled it up. We
know exactly where that is.
Right? We put a paper clip in there. We didn't attach the check. Then we put it in an envelope. We sent it down to North Carolina. We ripped the corner of the envelope up. We stepped on it, smashed it before we threw it in the mail. Within 3 days, we had a phone call from that person, and they called us up and said, "Listen, man, we never got the check." I go, "What check?" I go, "We send out a lot of checks." He's like, "Well, first of all, we're not selling the land." I go, "What land?" And he's like, "Spook Rock Road." I go, "Oh," you got our check for $10,000. And the guy's losing his mind. Within about 5 minutes, I had that guy under contract for $42,000, and I flipped that to a builder. Again, that was an assignment of contract back then, and that was a dry one. I did that on paper to paper with the money from I took $50,000 from the builder, non-refundable, and I used that money to close the deal, even though the attorneys were bitching about it. And again, I'm in my 20s, so I don't know legally, is this right, is this wrong? I think it was wrong, because I don't think we could have really used that money because it wasn't released out of escrow. It wasn't in the
There's no rules here at this age. You're just
right. I agree. So that's how I learned.
Cowboy up, motherfucker.
Yeah. So that was my second deal. That was again, and that's what I used the money to buy my Lotus when my brother died. My brother was just going to come in with me and start doing stuff. We had a blueprinting company called Interstate Blueprints that he and I were working together. I said, this is horse shit. Let's do something else. We can get land for builders. I go, "You're gonna make a lot more money." And he, again, inches away, and he was gone. So that changed things. And I said, you know what? I took a little bit of time off. My daughters were born. I raised, my daughters with my wife. She's a nurse practitioner, and so she had a few days where she would, work, and then when she was off, she'd be home with the kids, and I would, go out on my appointments because I worked from home my whole life. I never really had a real job per se. After I got out of college, I just said, fuck it. Opened up my own practice, and the architecture's still going strong. That's a good that's good cash flow, but it's time for money. I'm not, they say if you can't walk away from your job and it makes money for you, then you don't have a, income, you just have a job or some shit.
I got a question.
Yeah.
If I had a deal where I needed an architect and I could build you into it, are you willing to put your time where your mouth is, which would ultimately transition into more money?
Absolutely. I always do. I've done that before. I haven't always won on those deals, but I've done it before.
Me too. But that's good to know.
So yeah, listen, bartering is always good, and it's always who you're together with, just like a marriage and anything else. So the idea is, it's a judgment call, right? And you do business the first year.
Yeah, you're a businessman. You understand real estate too. So it's not like I'm going to go, "Hey, I think this is going to work out." I'm going to go, "Hey, I can buy this for this. I know if we put a level on it, we can get this for it, which is significantly more. You mentioned a number before, 6,500 or something. Maybe that's what you charge for your times or drawings. So,
Yeah.
what do you think it should be if this wins? What's our chances? And can you even recommend a good contractor that you think could do it on time? And
Right.
I,
Well, so
I'm not looking for cheerleaders. I'm looking for
listen, I have
people.
two crews going all the time. Small stuff, in and out, basements, bathrooms, conversions, small shit, decks, because that's where the money is. You don't get tied up. I do big houses. I did multi-million-dollar houses. That punch list went on for 8 months, and you're sitting there with $500,000 sitting out.
Yeah,
I'm not the bank. I'm not doing that anymore. I did it. I mean, that could bankrupt you real fast too. That whole thing, and they don't care. The other side doesn't care. You're doing a great job for them. Everything's beautiful. The house is beautiful. They're walking around. Their Baldwin fucking front door is scratched because the lady has 5 rings on her finger. She wants a $2,000, door replacement. It's like, listen, lady. I mean, you've been going in with your friends for the last week and a half. We said nobody's in there till the closing, and that doorknob was not scratched before you started going in there with your friends. So and I mean, you eat the $2,000. Did I say that to them? No. I mean, but that's the reality of when you do business on that level. Sometimes you get some people that take advantage.
I mean, listen, I've sold multiple houses to multiple people, and that they'll be like, oh, so here's their attorney's review, and I'll literally text the buyer because I know him. So I mean, if this follows tradition, this is the time after we've negotiated and agreed on everything where you say, oh, I'd like some more free shit. So what do you want? You want to take us to the fucking Yankee game? Like, what's coming up in your future that I can associate the same value to as this? Because the last time I gave you a $15,000 allowance and some bullshit, I saw you sell the house. You didn't change that bullshit,
right,
but you did take a nice trip to Aruba, and I just hope that was me.
Right.
Give me something back, motherfucker.
So one time I had to dump a house back, 94, 93, 94, and that whole turmoil going on. And back then they had the cars, the Hyundais that just come out, and they were, I don't know, $12,000 for a commuter car or whatever, some bullshit. So I bought the car and stuffed it in the garage, added $15,000 to the price, and the thing sold in a week because I was selling a house with a car, a brand new car. So there's all kinds of marketing strategies you could use, in these market turns or in things where you might be, the flow's slowing down. You need to move the flow, but you need to put, you had to have the cash. You could buy it on assignment, like, on a contract and pay it off when you close too. But, if you can show them the title and say, here's the house, here's the car, and boom, man, it's amazing how you can move product if you want to. People don't think outside of the box.
Yeah, I'm good at it. I like doing it.
I know you
are.
are.
The speaking thing too, where, I mean, listen, what is it that you would predominantly teach people how to do? Fix and flips?
Listen, that's a secondary one. That's for people with money. So I take people in at $6,000 and I partner with them and we do 50-50 splits, but they have to do the work. And people say, these guys out there that are doing that, don't do it with them because they're just going to give you something and drop you. I don't drop anybody. I don't drop. Go ahead.
What's the name of the program?
It's called the LD Investments, and we have the VIP Apprentice Program. That's it. And it goes through Creative Real Estate Institute, and you sign up, and it's a 1-year contract, and we start you off from the bottom. We start you off with I give you 12 ways to find a deal, and people now again, there's 2 sides to this, right? Do you find the deal and then find the buyer? Do you find the buyers first and then get the deal? Do you do both simultaneously? Blah 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 blah. So I was taught both ways. I feel the more effective way is spend your first 30 days searching out buyers. So, and what they want and where they want it. So, and I give you a bunch of ways to do it. Call up landlords, go on YouTube, go on Craigslist, all the same shit that everyone else does. However, if you want to work with me, you can call me every day. Okay. I don't avoid you. I don't do this, but you have to get your tasks done. If you're going to call me with a million questions because you're afraid, then I'm going to kick you in the ass and say, listen, get the fucking phone out and call somebody. All right. Don't call me 100 times. What do I say? What do I do? You know what? Get on there and call, make the mistakes, learn from your mistakes. Tell me what they said. I go, if you want to come to my office, we'll make 10 calls together. You're going to sit there and do it. I can prod you along. But you got to get people over the initial fear. It's a fear, and it's a success failure type of thing where their mind is telling them they're never going to be able to do it. They don't believe it. So if you don't believe it, I don't take you as there's a pre-interview that I do with people because I don't want to hear from people. I want my money back because there's no money back guarantees with mine. If you want to do it, you're gonna come to me. We're gonna talk, and I'll know right away. I've turned away probably 100 people versus the one or two that I take because I just don't want to work with anybody that doesn't want to do the work. I don't do it. It's failure, and right there, yeah. So why give the effort? Why should I put my energy in?
So when's the last time you took on a student?
My son and his 3 friends, and they're turning a $125,000 deal. Their first.
If my guys can teach you, you're looking at your future business partner, right?
I wanted to get you in my office to get to these guys before they went back to college because you have a lot to offer that I know, but I don't preach it. I don't do it.
You have a lot to offer too. So if my guys can teach you some technology, and I can feed you a stream of students and business like this, and you could pick and choose.
Yeah, you got it.
I want to be sure that you and my reputation is defended and that everybody, their ass is kicked. And if they fail, that's on them. But I heard a lot of myself and you where my refund policy was there is no fucking refund policy.
No.
I am giving you my business plan. It hurts me when you tell me it doesn't work because I still use it as a reference in my
right.
I remember all of this shit. Right. And furthermore, people find what they're looking for. So if you're looking to get ripped off, don't even sign up because you'll find that. And if you're looking for a life-changing experience, well, here's a couple of books of testimonials. Feel free to call any one of these people.
There you go.
What I did for them, be happy with that shit. And look, one of my goals in life was just to have enough money to be in a position where I could say to anybody, anywhere, anyhow, fuck you, I don't need you. Right. Sometimes you can fire some clients. So here's the guarantee that I'm going to give you. If you buy this, you're going to find out if you can do it, or you're going to find out if you got the best of yourself and you're a fucking loser. And if that's the case.
That's the truth, brother. That's the truth.
Well, I hope that hurt. Because if you think you're going to quit,
you are.
I'm going to turn you away now. And I'm getting ready now with the team where we are starting to harmonize, and I'm proud of them and a lot of the progress they've made. We're not there yet, but yeah, I could use guys like you, and I think you could use guys like me.
Absolutely. And again, I'm not looking to build a big machine. I want success stories like you, Chuck. So, intimate groups. The last group I did before my son was 8 people. And within the first 2 weeks, 2 of them dropped out, never called me back, $6,000 down the hole, nothing. And so now I have a choice. Do I call and follow them up and prod them along? I did do that. I'll do that twice. Okay. But I'm not dragging you out. And when you don't call me back and, do I feel like I ripped them off their $6,000? No, I interviewed them. They were all gun ho. Whatever happened in their life or whatever happened to them where they don't return phone calls, and there's no letter coming from an attorney. They want their money back or any of that shit. Just disappeared, evaporated. So now that group was down to 6. And
I've gotten letters from people apologizing to me for quitting.
Good. Those people might still have a chance, Chuck, in my opinion, because they know what they wanted, and maybe something got in their way, and like
I haven't invited them back, and I do get excited every now and then when one of them comes back.
Right. There you go, the prodigal son. So that's what you want, if you can get it without pulling teeth. But it is. I mean, those are, like Graziosi says, and it's something I always tell my students: life's going to get in the way every time, because you let it, and because it happens. We have family conditions, we have things that are out of our control that do absorb your time unexpectedly sometimes. But you know what? I'll give you an extension of 2 months. All right. You got something happening in your family. You need 60 days to pull it all together. But after that, if you can't get it together because whatever, your head's gone because of whatever happened to you, then you're never focused. You're never going to get into this thing. And so, you know what? You're on your own. I got to let you go. I can't drag you along. It's too much energy.
I got a daughter with special needs. Right. And, I spent 90 days in the hospital with that kid, not consecutively, but 15 here, whatever. And in the interim, because I was dying to, I booked and paid for Disney World 4 times.
Good for you.
I really wanted to go to Disney World with this kid, especially since if I didn't pull off what she pulled off, could have been heading the other way for the last roundup. So it was,
Yeah.
something. Matter of fact, I went to go fish in Key West with my dad for a week,
Nice.
and wound up having an episode like when I landed, I had to get off the boat, come back. So I was in Key West, fished for like 5 hours, and came home the same day. And
You're lucky you're in a position where you can do that too, my man.
yeah, it was emergency medical flights. They were actually pretty cool. They get them there like the next morning. But anyway, I paid for something that I wanted, just like how to learn this shit. Only I paid to take this kid to Disney World 4 times, and I had to cancel it. There are extenuating circumstances. I get it.
Yeah.
Did I write an apology letter to Disney World? No.
Did you get to Disney?
No.
Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, that's all right. It happens. I mean, she's healthy. It's just baby mama drama.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I see you had a hole filled in your fucking knee today. What the hell's that about, man? That's some crazy shit. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Is that weightlifting, Chuck, or where'd that come from?
So, I mean, I'm granting like life probably played a part of it at some point, between fucking 7 years of wrestling and 4 years of MMA, like climbing a mountain, and then there's 20 some odd years of bodybuilding. But then I was actually loading the back of my Suburban with toys for my kids, right, with my knees on the bumper, in a fucking parking spot with the car in park, across the street from a bar, and this drunk old lady just glided head on into my car.
Oh man,
and it's like I thrown back. I actually caught myself. It wasn't exactly my finest moment. I kind of lost my shit. And I got up and I was literally like, "What the fuck?" Right?
Yeah.
Just ready to rip the person out of the car and stomp them into oblivion, because I do have a go button. It can be difficult to turn off, and thank God it wasn't that, because I don't think I would have been as well behaved if it wasn't. And then she was grabbing me and telling me you'll be okay. Please don't call the police. And she stunk like booze. And I was like, lady, get the fuck off of me. The car got thrown back 4 feet. It was pretty crazy.
Wow.
So it's been a night in the hospital.
Well, it really wasn't all that. That other stuff probably didn't help, but it was really that knocked you.
Yeah, I mean, some shit went backwards. So now it makes my one knee that used to be my good knees immediately like my bad knee, and makes a lot of noise and shit. Then I can't really tell you what's going on because
still open.
No, I have some fucking crazy nerve damage to where it's inconvenient. It's not a superpower.
Yeah.
I can get cut pretty badly or break a bone and literally walk it off. It's dangerous.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. That's there for life.
I have to stop and ask myself, okay, how badly hurt are you?
A lot of it, you are badly hurt, but a lot of it is controlled up here with how you want to react to that. There is pain, real pain, that people live with. I live with pain because I had a C3. I have been whacked in a car so many times that my C3, C4, I get numbness, and I see everybody. I've done everything except not letting anyone cut on my back. So you live with certain things, and you make peace with it because those are now, and I've tried everything, and chiropractic works for a while, and then stretching works for a while, and these exercises with the rollers with your back and all this fucking craziness. But after a while, it just fades out and the pain comes back. So they're temporary relief. Let's put it that way. And you know what? 62, man. All right, what can you do? I mean, if you try and stay healthy, but you can only do so much, and that's it. So again, you got to move past it in your head if you can. But there are moments when you do things and that pain hits you, and you know it, and you know that you hit your limitation there, and you can go past it and blow it out. And I don't do that anymore. Younger, I would have done that. No more, man. I just had a lift. I came down here to fucking Amazon where my wife orders 2 bunk beds for we have 4 bedrooms here for the rental house, outside. The fucking boxes are soaking wet. They delivered them at 12 o'clock. I got down here yesterday at 7:30 or 7:15. I'm looking at these boxes and the fucking pouring rain down here. It's been a monsoon for. I'm like, what the fuck? And they always give me pictures. Nobody sent anything. The Amazon had it delivered by FedEx instead of their Amazon trucks where they take the pictures and all that shit. So I tell my wife, my son-in-law came an hour later, 230 pounds of wet going upstairs to the second floor. And I'm there like this. I'm on the bottom pushing up to, because I didn't want to do the pulling. So it's all resting on me. And I felt a little tweak there, and on the third box. The fourth box, I was done. After that tweak, I'm like, all right, let's get this last box up here and pour scotch. And that was it. And so yeah, things happen. You gotta, you go through it. But in the old days, I would have called the guy that I have a house concierge down here that does everything. I could have called him up. Hey, come and put this shit in the house if I knew it was there. So you just, again, life, you just never know. A stupid little shit like that is like, it happens. You just gotta, either you can sit there and cry about it, or you just move on, just move it up, unwrap it, get the fucking shit out so the particle board doesn't start swelling and shit on this brand new stuff. And my wife and I had a very interesting discussion last night, that's for sure. But yeah. So, but I enjoy everything that I do. So, if it's not fun, I don't do it. I try and avoid any sort of things that create pressure. I create no pressure on myself. I create my own schedules. People try and put their schedules on me. I don't do it. All right. And that I did that a long time ago. I learned when I was in my 20s, like I said, after my life went boom, boom. Fuck it. What's the worst thing that happens? And you can always make money doing something. So whether I'm doing architecture, I can't do it anymore. Whether I'm doing, there's jobs out there. Not that they're going to be satisfying, not that they're going to, but you can create cash flow out of almost anything if you want to. And you can find ways to really create passive income. Like I have 15 properties going right now. I'm looking at an 18-unit building up the road from me in New York. Right, it would be the first multi-unit. I mean, I don't buy duplexes, I don't buy quads, because I just never wanted to manage the people one over another, side by side. He's got the fucking vacuum going, he's got the water running, they got parties going. I learned in my business I didn't want to deal with human connection. I had 8 people, 10 people working for me at one point in my architectural business, and this guy doesn't show up, that guy doesn't, and the girl and the guy, and that. Who needs it? I mean, I couldn't do it, man. So, but here, I'm looking at my son coming into the business. I'm looking at a legacy plan, which I have that set up anyway, trust and all that shit. But I'm saying, where could he learn something close by? And it has a little 2-bedroom cottage there, 16 units in the main building. Then it's got a main owner's house. It's, 3,800. It's overlooking the Hudson. So, and these people, the turnover there has been really, it's like I got a 5 cap, and I'm just learning all about this stuff. I threw some money into Cardone Capital. I think I told you that. And I've been learning about these apartment buildings and how to do it. And everyone says, stay out of New York, stay out of New Jersey. Fucking horrible, for landlords and this and that. But, the guy who owned it, his grandfather bought it in the 30s. His father ran it, passed away. He has 2 brothers that want nothing to do with it that are in their 70s. He's 64 and he wants to move to Idaho. So, and he doesn't need the money. So I already got him down on I can get him, he wants 4 million something. He already said a whole paper on $1 million something if he had to. So I got the deal already with one phone call down to 3 something without any negotiation as far as cash has to go in. And I'm working the numbers. So that would, and I'm really working that one hard because it's close by me. It's like in my backyard, So if I could get it,
it's hard to see to a deal that's in choking distance.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I never thought I'd buy a house down here in LBI because my circumference was 1 hour or less. This is 2 hours from me, but it's a seasonal rental. So it's not like I have to deal with somebody on a month-to-month basis, whatever. But, there's another chain around your neck. And I'm one of these guys that I want to take the chains off, not put them on, So, who's out there, Chuck? Who do you see? I don't see what you see.
This chick on TikTok that I'm going to go live with soon. Just cute.
Oh, nice. Good for you. I hear you. Nice. So I don't know. What else can I tell you, man? I mean, I love what I do. I do what I love, and that's it, And like I said, our names. Before I even met you, just the names sort of got me going. Like, how could he's on the same wavelength as me here? Same frequency, I guess, in some fashion. So, and I've had this thing going for a long time. So, and I have a book out that shows you how to wholesale. I started that when I started my stuff, and I used to do meetup groups. I still have two meetup groups that I have that aren't active. I have the Mawa Bergen Real Estate Education Network that has about 400 people in there. That, once COVID came, I shut that off, and I have another one in Bergen that I took over that has about 190 people in it. So, and I haven't activated any of them, but I'm the leader, whatever you want to call it, on Meetup. And I was thinking about opening one more before COVID came. And listen, I was doing those, once a month. I was giving away food.
Can we help you with that? Can we help you with that?
Maybe well, again, so it depends on, listen, it's like, it's not automatic, that shit, right? I mean, for me, you guys do meetups a little different. I used to give handouts, 14, 18 page. I did presentations, PowerPoints. I gave out color presentations. I gave everything out for free. I didn't charge anybody anything. And I got some students out of it. It was really a machine to sort of find some A players. And my goal was back then to get these A players onto my team and build a team of 8 or 10 A players and run that and manage that. And I decided after a while that, even the guys that are A players, they're going to break away, right? If they're A players, they're not staying underneath somebody.
Yeah.
They're going to go. So I didn't find fulfillment in all of that, So, but I found that, you could get people involved that would bring other people. So people like what I was doing, there would be 4 people, and all of a sudden there'd be 12. They'd bring 6 or 8 people with them. Say, hey, you got to listen to this guy. He's making money from nothing. He's finding, houses and flipping paper and doing nothing. It doesn't cost. Listen, the house that I put under contract for $410, my down payment, what do you think it was?
Nothing.
It started out as $100 and $900 on the signing. It was $100 purchase offer when I met the guy, and then it was $900 when he signed the contract. $1,000 to tie up a $650,000 piece of property with a pool in the backyard and everything. And again, my son found that one, so I'm really proud of. Like, that's the best deal. I haven't come across a deal like that myself. I think before that, I think it was $112,000 was my big deal. So this one goes over the top of that if we close it, and we will. And so that's going to be another record changer for me and for my kid. And again, I feel a sense of pride that, look, you know what? I taught him what I know. I didn't push him along. He went to the office every morning. He was in before me. I go in at 10. He was there at 8. They were staying. I left at 6:30. He was there till 8 at night, and he really wanted to do it. And the reward is what we've got, and it shows that it can be done. And again, do I have to prove it to myself? No, because I can do it. I have 4 other ones in the hopper, not that big, but so it can be done. And people say it can't be done. Or it's illegal. And some states it's illegal to wholesale. They actually have laws that you can't wholesale in some states. So, but there's a way. You put it in an LLC, you flip the LLC, all kinds of shit. There's all kinds of things to do. And just so you know, did you get my thing, the Big Daddy picture? So you're Chuck Daddy. So my wife, the kids over here, they call me Big Daddy. So the odd rods. That was when I was a kid. I loved those cards. I have that card, that number 1 card. So Rat Fink. I was a Rat Fink guy back in the day.
Nice. There's a guy who's got a good Rat Fink collection in Fairlawn. You ever see Screaming Ink tattoo in this building next to it?
Screaming Ink. Yes.
They have a hot rod gallery. So they got all that Rat Fink shit and everything else, like rockabilly stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. He created some great cars. Again, creativity. That man was something else. Eddie Roth. Some the Munsters car and Grandpa's Dragster and all of that shit, man. Those guys, they created stuff from nothing. Fiberglass bodies back when shit like that wasn't going on. It's some real, and I'm into that artwork. I'm into all of that styling that back then, that 60s, 70s retro futuristic shit that they were blowing out. And I love the proportions of, the drawings that they had on those odd rods where the cars were small and the guys were these big monsters and all kinds of crazy shit. The graphics, it just intrigued me as a kid. I used to go in the Bronx to my grandmother's house, go to the corner store. They'd give me $1 and I go buy like 5 packs of odd rods and come back within a minute. They're like, you spent that money already? I said, fucking A. Got a bubblegum stick and fucking 6 cards. I go, yeah. And I was looking for that big daddy one. That was the one I always wanted. And it took a while to get it, but I got it. The number 1 card, man. That was it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know what else, Chuck. What else do we got, man? It's a pleasure being out here with you. Did you get the? I sent you the thing. So I told you I did that ABC's a Home Improvement. I really enjoyed doing the radio. So that was before all this Zoom shit and live visual stuff. So I had to scrape audio and do it. I broke my ass. I had a team of 4 guys doing that. Camera guys and sound guys and all of that. But I really enjoyed. And again, people were like, oh, it seemed like it was fluid. Dude, I was up for fucking 6 hours a night, Friday nights before Saturday morning, scripting those shows. It wasn't fluid. I mean, I had a book every day that had like 5 pages in it. The cool tool girl, what tool she's going to talk about, the advertisers. We'd bring people on. It was just, I wish it was a TV show. Back then,
it was a lot of work.
It was a lot of work, man. It wasn't easy, And I paid for the airtime, so it wasn't like we had sponsors at the end that ultimately were paying, but initially I was, spending all that money on that airtime, and locally in the local markets. We were syndicated. We were up in Fishkill. Where is it? Somewhere up by Fishkill. But we were heard from Albany, syndicated all the way down to the tip of Long Island at one point. On was it HUD or something? But it was the AM affiliates. And they had all these satellite, when they broadcast, AVA123, and on this station, So when you took a break, it was like 5 minutes for them to string out all their different stations that they're playing us on, and we used to laugh about that. It's like, who's tuning in from where? But we got phone calls, and we had people calling in all the time. And I had this thing called the Magic Hat, and my garage was full of shit. So I used to fill it up. I had old broken video cameras, answering machines and shit. And we used to give them away. Answer the correct call and you get anything out of the Magic Hat. We had pictures of it. They're like, I'll take the answering machine. I'll take the video camera. It was phenomenal. I got rid of all my junk that way. It was, and we gave away some good stuff too. We gave away some good crap, but we had a lot of fun, And then we had sponsors. And Torn Valley Vineyards gave us, free wine tastings. We had Certainty came in and backed us up with some, siding products. And so we did ultimately at the end start having some good stuff. But my wife was bumming because it was just, I had to go upstate, I had to leave my house at like 8 a.m, get there for the 10 o'clock show, 10 to 11. Then the guys want to go out for Bloody Marys and shit. You're leaving there by 1 o'clock. I wasn't getting home till like 2 p.m. My wife's like, every Saturday's fucked because I can't have a party. I did this, and you can't miss a show. I mean, I was on, weekly. It was a weekly show. It was a commitment that you made. I did, 6-month commitments. And so I got to the point where, she's right. I'm like, fuck this. I'm not going to do Saturdays anymore. This is crazy. And that goes by the wayside. But we recorded it all. It is on YouTube. So if you go to the WABC, www.theabcsahomeimprovements.com, you can look it up and see all the great shit that we did there. We had a lot of fun, So, and I don't use any of that. Like they said, repurpose your stuff. I know all of this shit about who's got time? Who's got time to chop it up and do this and send it out? I could be, probably tripling my architectural business, sending it out to people. Why? You know what I'm saying? I mean,
it's usually which decision at this point gives you the most time.
Right.
It's efficiency. All right.
So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to seeing you in person again at one of these events. And
when you come back from LBI?
So 17th.
17th. All right, you're gonna miss the cigar thing, but I'll invite you to the next one. But yeah, let's hang
saw
in.
That. Yeah, that's coming up on the 11th or something. You have that one. What about Goodson? Have you been down to his Destino? His joint down there? I mean, it looks like it's off the hook.
You want to take a ride? Let's go to the next one. Maybe.
Yeah. So I want to get to one of his meetups. Does he have them there now? I mean, I thought he was saying
that's where he has them now. So meet me at the office, or we may be moving to Bergenfield. I'm looking at relocating, but I'll still be close.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Take the Suburban.
So Bergenfield. So is that by Dumont?
Yeah.
So I did our first radio show was on Jukebox Radio out of Dumont, and I got a speeding ticket in Maui. I was late, and I was driving my Jag. So the cop pulls me over. He gives me the ticket. I get to the station. This guy Jimmy was the engineer, and he's calling me up. He's like, "Where are you? Mike Ash is running the show. This sucks. You got to get in here." I go, "Fucking cops pull me over." So I get on the air, and he's like, "Why are you late?" I said, "I had a little incident." He's like, "Go ahead, tell us what it was. Come on, Lee." I'm like, "All right." I go, "This cop pulls me over. He couldn't even spell my name on the ticket right." I go, "I can't even read what his name is." I go, what is wrong with these guys? the board's lit up because I guess the cops listen to these talk shows on the jukebox radio. They're threatening to pull me over as soon as I leave the lot. And Jimmy's like, you won't believe these guys are calling up. He's like, you better stop talking about the cops and shit. I'm like, oh my god. So you got to be careful with the phone's never lit up like that ever. And they never did again ever, except for those conversations. So people are listening, even though you may not believe there's people out there listening to what you have to say. When you tickle a bone somewhere, boy, oh boy, you know about it. And that was, I was looking over my shoulder the whole way home on that ride home from that show. So, and I have a recording of that one. I thought it was pretty funny. So.
Awesome. I think we actually have fun with some of this shit. Liborio, you give me a lot of really good ideas. You want to do this again sometime?
Absolutely, man. Whenever you want to put me back on, give me a couple of week break, whatever you have a slot that's open.
Yeah, I definitely need a part two, and you've given me a whole bunch of good ideas. So how can everybody reach you if they want to get a hold of you?
So how do you reach me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Give me your social media.
Are we on, Chuck? Are we good? We still going?
Yeah, just give me your social media.
Oh, okay. So if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me at my Arc of Future number is probably one of the better ones, 845-351-2600. For any architectural needs, I'll let anybody out there that's doing flip projects, and if you buy projects and you're renovating them or you need CO work, I was a director of building. I didn't get into all my background, but I have 8 years as a New York State director of building planning and zoning. I ran a building department with 16 people underneath me, building inspectors and fire inspectors and code compliance officers, ZBA, planning board. So if you need that kind of stuff, come out and give me a call and we can get your COs tied up. Most of the times it's 72 hours. So we just did one in Hackensack for a guy, fire job. So we're able to do a lot of stuff like that in the architectural world for the real estate developers and investors. Are you there, Chuck? I think we froze out. You froze out. Yeah, I lost you. All right. Listen, I'm going to sign off because you're not moving, Chuck. You're frozen. Can you see me? You got to probably reboot. But great time tonight. I'm going to tail off your end of your video here. Is that it? Are you rebooting yourself, maybe? I don't know. But I'm going to sign off. LD out. How do we do this? Here we